Satchel charges on the cave entrance from above. Covering fire on weapons team. Look for snipers in the trees. You know the drill. No risks, no heroes, no prisoners.
You want some roast on this one, Sarge?
No, you guys have done enough. Head back to Webb's. We are going to blow every cave we come across. Close them down and move on, people.
Damn. I was hoping to get me a samurai sword.
Skipper says that Phelps has fallen behind again. He's got his fire teams checking every cave. He's lost another flamethrower. He wants you to get over there and hurry them along.
Ho, boom. Weapons compass.
Sir.
Sir.
We have a major cave complex in front of us, Hogaboom. I want flamethrowers and BAR teams to clean it out.
Begging your pardon, sir. But if it's a big complex, why don't we bring the Shermans in? They could pour it in there.
We can't wait for tanks to be brought up. I'm already behind.
Then blow the cave. No skin off our nose. Bury them.
We are going in there and clearing them out. We are doing it by the numbers, Sergeant. Get your team in place. We're moving out. Mount up! First fire team and flamethrowers! Head in!
Where's he going?
Where's who going?
The big cowboy. He's going in.
Who gave that order?
You did.
News from Jack. There's a statewide APB out on it.
Jack's okay. He has something up his sleeve. He's not worried about being caught.
How do we help?
We go after the other side of the equation. Jack has a legion and its cronies running scared. We go after the doctor and some of the other guys.
But the whole department breathing down our necks.
It's time for action, Herschel. It's time for change. Jack's crossed the Rubicon, and we have to be on the other side ready to help him.
Christ, what was that?
Explosion. Something big.
You think it's the Reds? You think those Rusky sons of bitches that dropped the H-bomb on us?
Calm down, Herschel. We need to be ready for the call.
I'm not waiting for an invitation. Get in the car and head for the cloud. KGPL can give us the details on the way.
All units, 2077 reports.
All units, reports of an explosion. Location, return location, it's south of Santa Monica, west of, stand by for further.
No!
All units, car 88K reports an explosion downtown. Repeating, 88K is reporting an explosion downtown. All units, stand by for further.
Downtown? Can't...
We have looters around the corner. Cuff them or put them down. We need to get this area under control.
You don't shoot at cops, you little prick! Get that bastard cold!
Now ain't the time to be looking for a profit, asshole!
Opportunistic looters flood the streets of LA. It's up to Cole and Biggs to restore some law and order.
You sorry son of a bitch!
The final looter made a run for it. He's hiding behind a building. Cole follows him into an alleyway.
The commander will want us at the scene. Let's go.
Jesus. I'd never seen nothing like this.
I wish I could say the same. It's like a bomb's gone off. Jesus Christ. Poor people.
We gotta find out what went down.
The explosion came from Nicholson Electroplating. We find doctors tending to the wounded and bodies laid out on stretchers. As soon as we head inside...
You're late, Phelps. Get delayed somewhere?
Just dealing with looters.
What in God's name happened here?
It wasn't nuclear. If it was, we'd all be dead from the radiation.
That's reassuring. What's radiation?
Everyone inside the factory was vaporized. I mean, look at the size of that crater.
What's going on over there?
The mayor is going on television, appealing for calm.
Television? We're gonna afford one of those things.
Anything to go on?
You're looking at the remains of Nicholson Electroplating. I have an idea of what might have caused the explosion, but I'm only guessing. Have a look around the rubble, see if you come up with it.
World's turned upside down, Cole.
Then it's time for us to do our jobs.
We find Carruthers examining some bodies.
This is crazy. Looks like a war zone. See what you can scrape together.
Vaporized. Oh, brother.
The explosion torched the clothes right off these people. We see a camera set up by a big van.
That's it, Mr. Mayor. We're wrapped.
Well, good. Thank you very much, son. You think it went okay?
Couple of hiccups, sir, but that's to be expected. Nobody's ever done this before. We'll get better with practice.
That maybe goes for me too, son. Should have played it a little more somber. What do you think, son?
No, Mr. Mayor. You came across as, very resolute.
And of course, the mayor's more concerned with his image. We can't talk with any of these people, so moving on, we see two paths ahead.
Sweet heavens above.
Going down the right path first, we find articles of clothing scattered around and human remains buried under rubble. We even find the chief of police here. By this time, we know how corrupt he is, but Cole can't play his hand just yet, so we move on without talking to him. In the corner, we find a beat officer crouching over some evidence.
Hey, detective! I think I got something here.
Any idea what this is?
A very large egg cup? A Viking helmet? How would I know, Phelps? Try putting it back together.
Looks to me like some kind of machine component. An airplane part, maybe.
P&W Wasp Major R4300. What could that mean? That's all the clues in this corner, so retracing our steps, we can go down the other path. Along the way, we find a scrap of cloth.
Phelps! I think I found something over here.
Looks like all that's left. I could try the laundry tag.
Superior Laundry. Perhaps we can track down who was wearing this outfit, but it's a bit of a long shot. Continuing forward, we find another officer examining more evidence.
Detective, you seen this yet? Come take a look.
Blew the locker open, but shielded the contents. Let's see what we got in here.
And inside the suitcase, what is this, a camera? Whoa!
Oh, only OSS agents use these things. We'll need to get the film developed to see if there's an espionage angle.
A spy camera! So Nicholson Electroplating had a spy. Next to this is some sort of trinket. An earring?
Any ideas, Herschel?
None that I care to utter for public consumption.
Whoa. So Biggs went straight to nipple ring. Okay, you do you, Herschel. Pocketing it, we can examine a business card.
Tomoko Akamoto. Japanese name.
So is this a Japanese spy at an electroplating factory? But why? And below this...
What is it?
A substitution cipher. The Germans used them in the war. These are cipher rings.
You know what to do with them?
Maybe. I used them in OCS. These first letters are the cipher key. The rest of the message should align itself.
A substitution cipher and a series of letters in the newspaper. It looks like a key. H equals K. So we'll start by aligning the first ring, K, beneath H. With those two aligned, we can make out the message by spinning the outer ring to each letter in order. This reveals the message on the inner ring. K is N. S is V. B is E. O is R. J is M. L is O. K is N. Q is T. N, Vermont. What is that, an address? X is A. S is V. B is E. Avenue.
It's an address. 133 North Vermont Avenue.
So, we've got an address. We'll make that our next stop. After passing a dismembered arm clutching for a Bible, we head for the exit, only to see a man standing in our path.
I'm Fred Nicholson.
This is your place?
What's left of it. 32 years of work up in smoke.
So this is Nicholson of Nicholson Electroplating. Let's ask him a few questions. We'll start by seeing if he knows anything about the explosion.
Can you tell us what happened here?
Our chief chemist, Harold McClellan, was using this area to test the new process.
And what exactly is this new process?
That's classified information, son.
So Chief Chemist McClellan was experimenting here. Could he have caused the explosion? He doesn't want to talk to us about it. Perhaps he forgot that we're the police. His classified information can't get in the way of a police investigation. He stands here pretty confident of himself, but all it takes is a little bad cop from Cole to get him to spill his guts.
A lot of people died here, Mr. Nicholson. I'm prepared to go to the press and tell them it was your fault. What is the new process?
A way to chemically polish aluminum. It's traditionally done by hand. It's extremely labor intensive. The process could be worth millions.
All right, we've uncovered a motive. McClellan was working on a very valuable piece of technology. Valuable enough for someone to kill him? Now we'll see if Nicholson here knows about the person whose card we found in the briefcase. We can ask him about Okamoto.
Who is Tomoko Okamoto?
Dr. McClellan's personal assistant. She came highly recommended.
But did he know that McClellan's personal assistant was a spy? We read some misgivings in his body posture. His hands are now behind his back. When before he stood confidently, now he wears a confused expression, almost as if he's lost in thought. He's squinting his eyes, and he's looking beyond Cole, as if he doesn't even notice that Cole is there. We know that she was a spy, but we don't know if Nicholson knows. But to get him to open up, we need to accuse him of holding information back.
Okamoto was involved in industrial espionage. Was she working for you or for a foreign government?
That's a ridiculous assertion. How can you possibly say she was a spy?
To prove that she was a spy, we point to the evidence of her espionage, which we found in the suitcase.
How many of your other employees carry spy cameras in their handbags?
Jesus, Mary and Joseph, she was selling me out.
If she wasn't a foreign spy, who could she have been working for?
There could be other plating companies, but the big customers for the process are the aircraft manufacturers. Lockheed, Boeing, Hughes, North American.
So we're not looking at international espionage here. She was likely working for a competitor. But would a competitor blow up Nicholson Electroplating? Seems like a big step. Next, we can ask him if he knows the whereabouts of his wonder chemist, McClellan.
What can you tell us about McClellan?
A brilliant chemist. He approached me a few months ago with the idea for the new process.
So no one has ever done this before?
No, but it's legitimate research.
It is legitimate research, he says, and then he drops his gaze. His arms go limp, and he shifts his weight from foot to foot, almost as if he wasn't completely convinced that it was legitimate research. We read from his facial expressions and body posture that there may have been some hiccups along the way, complications that made him regret hiring McClellan. Or could it just be that the reality that his business is now gone is finally hitting him? Either way, we'll use a bit of bad cop to get him to tell us more.
So you thought McClellan could do what no one else could do. You were prepared to take that risk.
Look, he was a trained chemist, and his ideas could revolutionize electroplating.
And you would be rich.
I'm a businessman. What's wrong with turning a buck?
You blew up 6 blocks! God knows how many people are dead.
I regret that.
That's laudable.
We'll be in touch, Mr. Nicholson. Can you send us Dr. McClellan and Miss Okamoto's personnel files?
I will if I can find them.
By the way, we also found the collar of a shirt. It has a laundry tag.
They're likely to be Dr. McClellan. The majority of people who worked here don't use a laundry service.
Well, that narrows down our laundry tag. We were looking at what was left of Dr. McClellan. I don't understand why Cole and Biggs were so hard on Nicholson here. After all, Nicholson was right. What is wrong with making a buck? What's wrong with hiring a chemist with the knowledge that your company will benefit from whatever research he completes at your factory? Perhaps Cole and Biggs were accusing him of being negligent, which is what led to the explosion. Perhaps the experiments going on here cut a few corners, didn't keep safety in mind. If true, McClellan himself paid the ultimate price for his recklessness. We have a couple of leads. We could go to the laundry service, but we don't have the address yet, and there's no Gamwell nearby. So first, let's head to the address we deciphered in the suitcase.
You think McClellan went up in smoke? Or is he still alive?
You could ask the same question about Tomoko Akamoto.
I guess you could. You got an answer?
Not yet. I'm working on it.
We arrive at the deciphered address at 10:13 a.m. It's a tiny apartment, nestled between two shops. We can look at the nearby mailbox to find the apartment number.
Well, well. Why the cloak and dagger routine, Miss Akamoto?
So, the apartment number in the newspaper was Okamoto's own address? Why would she need a decoder ring to decode her own apartment address? Perhaps she wasn't the only one deciphering that message. Perhaps someone else was meeting her here. But heading inside, we see that someone beat us here.
Somebody turned the place over. Better watch your step.
First things first, we can use the nearby telephone to get the address for the laundry service.
Operator, message for KGPL.
Putting you through now.
Detective Phelps, badge 1247.
How could I help, Detective?
Can you speak to someone at the Army Air Force Base for me, please?
Of course, Detective.
Tell them I have what I believe is an aircraft part. It's polished metal, light for its size, and it looks like a cone of some sort. It's stamped on the inside. P&W Wasp Major R4360.
I'll get back to you, Detective, when you check in for messages. Anything else?
I need an address for Superior Laundry Services.
Closest store to your location is in Wilshire, 4766 Melrose Avenue.
Thanks for your help.
Now to explore the apartment, we see a big streak of blood on the floor, and it leads to more blood spattered on the wall. Oh, someone was murdered here, but so far no body. Heading into the bedroom, we see that it really has been rifled through. It'll be hard work to find anything here, but moving over to the vanity, we find something.
Looks like we have a match.
It's another earring, and bringing them together...
Interesting dame, this Akamoto. What is it exactly?
Microfilm. A document shrunk to the size of your thumbnail.
Broad must have amazing eyesight.
From the look of things, it looks like a blueprint of sorts. We'll have to send this back to the lab to see if they can enhance it. That's it for the bedroom. Moving out to the living room, we see something gleaming before a fire.
You know what this is, Biggs?
Sure. That apartment gives you one of those when you retire.
A tie clip from a retired police officer? Not too many of these floating around. Could this retired police officer have been the one to trash the apartment? What was he looking for? But then we notice something pouring from a nearby refrigerator. Something is jammed inside. Something too big for a refrigerator. The door is left ajar. Opening it...
Do you think I could fit in there? I couldn't fit in there.
I'd like to think you would have had something more to say about getting shoved in a fridge, Herschel.
Could this be our retired police officer? But if so, who killed him? The spy or someone else? Examining his head, we see a bullet wound.
One to the head, one to the heart. Point blank.
So this is the man who was shot against the wall. Then the murderer shoved him in the refrigerator. Examining his left wrist...
Jeans Lindbergh. Very expensive watch. Favored by flyboys. I always wanted one as a kid.
That's funny. As a kid, all I wanted was some food on the table.
An aviator's watch. So this guy was fond of planes. And in his right hand,
Could be a class ring.
could be a class ring. A whole lot of stars for a class ring, though. I'm thinking military. That would tie in with the aviator's watch. A retired Air Force member? But he wouldn't be wearing a retired police officer's tie clip. Well, maybe the tie clip didn't belong to him. After all, we did find it on the other side of the room, far away from both the murder site and this fridge.
Biggs, badge 525. I'll need a couple of black and whites at 133 North Vermont Avenue, Wilshire. We'll need an ambulance in the corner. Probably a team from technical services as well.
After Biggs calls it in, we can head back to the car. We now have the address to Superior Laundry Services. Heading that way, we arrive at 10:19 a.m. As we enter, the proprietor gets right to the point.
What do you need?
Phelps and Biggs, LAPD. We have one of your laundry tags. Can you tell us who it might belong to?
Are you kidding? I got work to do, Mac. Here's the customer book. Knock yourself out.
He wasn't really impressed by the fact that we were the police. Guess we'll just have to knock ourselves out.
Number was, J2620, Cole.
Thanks, Biggs. All right, let's see. We got the ticket number on the left-hand side, and we quickly find a match.
Who is Hangstrom?
Could be someone else from the factory. Does he have an address?
No. Dead end.
Oscar Hangstrom? Well, that's not McClellan, our chemist.
Thank you for all your help, sir.
I guess Nicholson was wrong there. Someone else at the factory must have used a laundry service. This Oscar, apparently. So we're out of leads. Let's call into R&I, see if Pinker has anything for us.
Operator, give me R&I.
Putting you through now.
Detective Phelps, badge 1247. Messages, please.
You need to call Ray Pinker urgently.
Can you put me through?
It's ringing now.
We're on our way in.
Nix that. I got a message from Lindbergh Field. An airplane tech there identified your part.
What is it?
He said it was a prop spinner from either a Corsair or a B-50.
A what?
Fits over the center of the propeller and protects the pitch gearing.
So it's a military part.
Could be, but get this. The Spruce Goose runs 8 Wasp R4360s. I think you better get over there and check it out.
We're on it. I need an address for an Oscar Hangstrom.
Checking. No residential listing for anyone by that name, Detective. Sorry.
Thank you.
So, we're back to the aviator angle. And what did he say? The Spruce Goose has 8 of those engines? Well, looks like we're about to go see a piece of aviation history. We'll head towards Hughes Aircraft. We arrive at the highly guarded site at 10:22 a.m.
This is a military project, gentlemen. Can you state your business?
Detectives, Phelps and Biggs, LAPD. We're investigating the explosion. We have reason to believe there may be a link to Hughes Aircraft.
I'm sorry, I can't help you there, Detective. Without authorization from military HQ, you won't be allowed onto this facility.
What seems to be the problem, gentlemen? Hey, Biggs. You're not still with the LAPD.
Afraid so, mates. Can you help us out here?
Sure. What seems to be the problem?
We're working the big explosion at the electroplating plant. I found a part there that belongs to one of your planes.
I work head of security for Mr. Hughes now. I'll take full responsibility. I'm sure we can clear this up. Follow me. It's the big hangar. You can't miss it.
Who is Mapes? And what's his connection to Howard Hughes?
Vernon Mapes used to work Advice. Word is he runs fuck pads for Hughes' starlets.
A pimp. Earl and Mapes would seem.
Mapes was the role model for creeps like Earl.
Well, lucky break, but Biggs doesn't seem to be too impressed by this guy.
Follow me.
If he's anything like Roy Earl, then he's bound to be a grade A creep. But for now, he's useful. So following him inside, we can say hello to the receptionist.
Good day, miss.
And walk into the hangar.
Can that thing really fly?
Mr. Hughes believes so. Amazing, isn't she?
So, this is the Spruce Goose.
Jesus Christ, Biggs, you want to get me fired? Mr. Hughes hates that fucking name. It's the H-4 Hercules to you.
You mind answering a few questions, Mr. Mapes?
Call me Vernon, kid. Fire away.
The media called it the Spruce Goose because it was made from wood. That's right, a wooden airplane. And people thought it would never fly. Turns out it did fly once, and it's been on display ever since. But that's long after the events we're playing through right now. We'll ask Mapes here if he knows anything about the Nicholson plant explosion.
Do you know anything about the explosion that happened at Nicholson Electroplating this morning?
No more than anyone else. Heard the boom while I was shaving. Almost shit my pants. Thought it was Pearl all over again.
But look at this guy's face. Sometimes these guys are really subtle, and other times not so subtle. Mapes here looks bored and inconvenienced. Oh great, now I gotta answer these questions. Give these guys a tour of the hangar. What a waste of my time. If he didn't have something to hide, he'd be much more congenial. This instantly makes us suspicious.
I did the same thing when I first saw the plane. I was staring wide-eyed for a full hour.
And so we'll play a bit of bad cop.
But you had no personal contact with any of the employees. And you have no idea what caused the explosion.
I'm in security. I handle Mr. Hughes' personal interests, if you get my meaning. I'm not directly involved in manufacturing.
That's right, Cole. They can hear you better if you talk louder. Cole must have gone to the Yosemite Sam School of Interrogation. Well, at any rate, next we'll ask him if he has any knowledge of this spy, Okamoto.
Do you know Tomoko Akamoto?
Never heard of the broad. Why?
Never heard of the Broad? That's a foreign name. Not very many people are going to be able to know that it's a woman's name right off the bat. He kinda just gave himself away right there. And again, he's got this bored facial expression. Shifting his weight, smirking, big old creases by the sides of his mouth, avoiding eye contact. But when he does make eye contact, he looks bored and disinterested.
You need a drink or something, detective?
And so again, we'll play bad cop.
You don't happen to wear an LAPD tie pin, do you, Mapes?
Sometimes. I have a couple of them from my days on the force.
Oh, hello. Maybe the tie pin didn't belong to the guy in the fridge after all. Which would make sense. He was an aviator, possibly worked for Mr. Hughes here. Could McClellan be the owner of the tie pin? And if so, what was he doing at Okamoto's apartment? Next, we'll ask him if he knows about our wonder chemist, McClellan.
Do you know the chief chemist at Nicholson Electroplating, a Harold McClellan?
I've heard of the guy. He was pitching some fancy process to the company.
Oh, well, if true, then that means that Harold McClellan was betraying Nicholson, using Nicholson to gain access to a lab so he could refine his process, but then pitching the finished product to Howard Hughes? What a sleazebag. Also, Mapes' countenance has changed. He's no longer bored. Now he is nervous. Between big gulps, his eyes dart from side to side. He can't maintain eye contact, and every now and then he glances at his shoes. The name of McClellan has suddenly got him nervous. But we remember that we have evidence that connects McClellan and Nicholson Electroplating here to Hughes Aircraft, and so we'll accuse him of lying.
We know that you were sending parts to Nicholson for testing. Question is, whether you were going through Nicholson or cutting your own deal with McClellan.
Interesting theory, kid. How you gonna prove any of that?
The evidence we have is the remains of the prop spinner we found in the ruins of Nicholson Electroplating. McClellan didn't merely offer the process to Howard Hughes, he has been working with them, which is why their prop spinner was at Nicholson Electroplating.
We found a prop spinner in the wreckage. We believe it belongs to this aircraft.
We sent them some aluminum parts to test. Howard and the Boffins were interested in this guy McClellan's theories. McClellan was cutting out Nicholson, that's not our problem.
Thanks for your help, Mr. Mapes. Do you mind if we have a look around while we're here?
Sure. Knock yourself out.
So McClellan was defrauding Nicholson. But I suppose Mapes is right. If he was, that's not really their fault. And that alone doesn't give them a reason for wanting to destroy Nicholson Electroplating. Could the explosion really have been a tragic accident? We see a bunch of men working on some motors. Heading that way, we can strike up a conversation.
Hello to these engines. Think that cone could come off one of them?
Good idea, Biggs.
Is that a Pratt & Whitney 4360?
Sure is. You know your motors.
Do you mind if I take a look at the prop spinner?
We're getting her ready for sea trials, so be quick about it.
What is the oily covering on the metal?
We coat the aluminum parts in linseed oil to preserve it from oxidization.
And despite the oil, it's a perfect match.
Want to take a look inside her? Can't hurt.
Biggs wants to go inside the Spruce Goose. Of course, he's read about it in every newspaper for several years now. He's so excited that he runs up ahead and stands by the stairs. Okay, Biggs, we'll go inside. But before we head in, we see some barrels by the steps.
McClellan's process was going to replace all this.
If McClellan's process worked, no more need for all of this linseed oil, which I bet was pretty expensive. Heading up the steps, we can explore the interior of the Spruce Goose. It's still under construction. Lots of workbenches and scrap all over the place. And we can't go very deep. There's a table in our way. But nearby, we find a ladder leading to an upper platform.
Great.
Oh, I guess Biggs doesn't like climbing. At the top of the ladder, we find a bulletin board with some schematics and a note.
Latitude 24 degrees, 15 minutes north. Longitude 76 degrees, 0 minutes west.
Oh, great. We gotta look up coordinates again? Well, hopefully they have a machine here. I really don't want to go to the Hall of Records. Sure enough, on a desk nearby, we find such a machine.
76 degrees west. 24 degrees, 15 minutes north. Let's see where this is exactly. The Bahamas. Somebody's already got their maiden flight planned.
Okay, so they were planning to fly to the Bahamas. Interesting. But how does this help with our case? We find more consoles and tools laid out, but no more clues. So heading downstairs, we can leave the plane to explore the hangar itself. Climbing a nearby ladder, we can climb atop the plane, and man, is this thing massive. But we don't find any clues up here.
Looks like Mapes' office is in the far corner. Let's go see what he's hiding.
We'll finish our investigation by heading to Mapes' office. Heading up the stairs, we pass by a sign that says "Do not stack" beneath a bunch of stacked boxes on top. Okay. Not my job. Opening the door, we find a pistol on a workstation, but I suppose that's not surprising. He was a former cop. Near to a time clock, we find a picture. Mapes and Howard Hughes himself. Looks like Mapes is proud of his job. And moving to a writing desk, we find two more pictures. In the first,
that is Marie the Body McDonald.
Does Hughes have her on contract to RKO?
Yeah, I bet he does.
and we recall what Mapes told us. He works for Mr. Hughes to manage Mr. Hughes's personal needs. I suppose then it's not surprising to find a photograph of the body. And right next to this, the body indeed. I wonder how well she knows Mr. Hughes.
Let's see what Pinker has for us. He's probably done tinkering with that camera by now.
That's right, we gave him the camera. Time to see what pictures this Okamoto had taken.
Thanks for the tour, Mapes.
Always happy to help the department. Hey, don't I know your face from the papers? You're the cop that's stripping that German broad.
Nah, I think you got the wrong guy, Vernon.
And of course, Cole has to be reminded about his sins with every case. Heading out, we can take the car to the Wilshire police station.
So McClellan was selling his new process to Hughes and cutting out Nicholson.
Looks that way. This would never go all the way up to Hughes. We'd have middlemen dealing with stuff like this.
Someone like Mapes?
network middleman was invented for guys like Mapes.
We arrive at, I don't know, sometime. Checking in with the front desk.
Any messages for me, Hopkins?
Not many you'd want to hear. Newspapers wanting interviews and rookies cussing you out mostly.
Nothing else.
Pinker wants you in tech services. Maybe you'll be more popular downstairs.
Thanks, Hopkins. Heading downstairs, we find Pinker in his office.
Hey, Cole. You're not winning any popularity contests upstairs, you know.
Where do you stand?
I think you're a good cop, but I try and stay out of politics.
Everybody tries to stay out of politics, Ray.
Well, don't quote me on it, but I'm hoping that Parker will get the job and clean this place up. I have your photographs. You can use the magnifier. There's quite a lot of detail.
All right, pulling out the magnifier.
Very funny.
I think you're right, Ray. We have our man. You take a nice photo, Phelps.
Ah ha ha, funny Carruthers. Always the jokester. Pulling out the next photograph, we see a man in a smart suit. He's standing in front of an aircraft hangar, painted on the door. What is that? L-O-K. And the H is segmented, but that could only mean Lockheed. And wait a minute, what's that?
Bringing the Watcher a match for our John Doe. He's obviously the competitive bid. Can you get this over to Lockheed so we can get a name for this guy?
It's already on its way.
So our cadaver in the fridge was a competitor of Hughes Aircraft. A competitor who also wanted McClellan's polishing process. What's also interesting is this guy is looking directly at the camera. It's almost like he's posing, but this is a super secret spy cam. I think the best explanation for this is that whomever this man is knew Takamo Okamoto. And if that's the case, then they were working together. Takamo was likely working for Lockheed as this man was, trying to get the formula using espionage, posing as his assistant. But he winds up dead in Tokumo's own apartment. I can think of only one guy who'd want him dead. Taking a look at the next photograph.
Howard Hughes, millionaire, industrialist, aviator, and playboy. And Vernon Mapes, ex-dirty cop and business fixer.
And zooming on in, well, looky here.
I found a similar tie pin along with a dead guy in a fridge.
That's some compelling evidence. In the next photograph, what's this? Some sort of formula?
Excellent photography, Tomoko. So Tomoko had the goods on McClellan. Too bad they blew the place to hell.
So McClellan was being double-crossed. Lockheed hired Tomoko to steal the process from McClellan. And in the next one...
Is this McClellan? Can anyone make out the street number behind him?
Are you kidding? With my eyesight?
We see two gentlemen walking down the street. That's definitely Mapes. Is the mustachioed guy McClellan? So Tomoko caught them together. And I looked, but I didn't see a street sign or a number besides this West in the corner, which isn't really enough to go on. But then we remember the photograph that we saw back in Mapes' office at Hughes Aircraft. Mapes posing with Marie the Body McDonald outside a housing development that looks a lot like the one in the last photograph. But here we see a partial of the street sign, 2nd Street. And if we match this with the photograph that Tomoko got, West 2nd Street. Now we need to find a house number. Taking a look at the next photograph, we see Mapes and a woman walking into 3941. Now this woman can't be Tomoko because Tomoko Okamoto is the one taking the picture right now. This was her camera found in her briefcase. So who is this other woman? And whose apartment is this? Well, in the last photograph, we saw Mapes with presumably McClellan walking down a sidewalk in a similar neighborhood. The houses in this development all look the same. But in the next photograph, McClellan is gone. But we still see Mapes and he's escorting this woman. These photographs were likely taken at the same time, or at least within an hour or two of each other. Both photographs have the same lighting. They were taken at around the same time of day. The only other woman we've come across during this investigation is the Body, the beautiful actress who keeps Howard Hughes company. Could it be that one of the tools that Howard Hughes and Mapes was using to convince McClellan to sell his polishing invention to them is access to the body? Is that what we're seeing here? Mapes is escorting the body to a rendezvous with McClellan? Oh, this just gets seedier and seedier. The one flaw in this theory is that the women in each photograph are wearing different clothes. In Marie's photograph back at Mapes' office, she's wearing a much darker, full-length garment, a formal gown, complete with gloves, and her hair is down. But in Tomoko's photograph, the woman has her hair up, she's wearing a much shorter dress, and it's lighter, with long sleeves. The key here could be Mapes. In both images, he's wearing the same outfit, or a very similar one, a dark suit jacket, dark slacks, and a dark fedora. So it could be that Marie the body changed out of her formal gown after taking the photograph before putting on her business attire to enter McClellan's house. Or both images could be Marie but taken on separate days, which means this would have been a regular thing for Mapes to escort her to McClellan's house on numerous occasions. Yuck.
Cole, can you help me with a little experiment? Use the eyedropper in front of you. One drop from each of the bottles on the desk. Place the drops in the petri dish.
Oh, great. Pinker is so bad at this. If you're gonna try and trick us, Pinker, you better stop laughing. Okay, what shenanigans does he have for us now? We'll take a bit of linseed oil and then some perchloric acid, okay. And finally this acidic anhydrous something. Stand back. Ha 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 ha. Funny, Pinker.
It's okay, guys. Just a little experiment.
Can you guys knock it off? Everyone's still jumping from that bang this morning.
Very funny, Ray. You just took a couple years off my life expectancy.
Did the same trick to me about an hour ago.
So that was the stuff that caused the explosion.
I think so. Acetic anhydride is almost as explosive as nitro, and when mixed with perchloric acid, it's very unstable. It needs to be cooled constantly. We used linseed oil, but you could add any organic compound to trigger an explosion.
3 little drops.
Yeah, and they were using a 100-gallon vat.
And at last we understand the explosion. McClellan didn't know that linseed oil was all over the prop spinner from Hughes Aircraft. And when he began the polishing process with his ingredients...
The other side ready to help.
Christ, what was that?
Explosion.
Boom. Before we leave, we can move to the other side of this desk to see what that document was on that microfilm.
McClellan's patent application. So we have McClellan raising a patent and selling to Hughes, and Akamoto copying the details for Lockheed. Where does that leave Nicholson?
With a great big hole in the ground.
This leaves us with only one clue left. That's to track down the house that we saw in the photographs. We pieced it together with 3 photographs, 3941 West 2nd Street. So heading that way, we arrive at 10:57 a.m., only to find the door wide open. And so we move in with guns drawn.
This place stinks of petroleum.
Avgas, if I'm not mistaken. It's all around the floor.
We see empty gas canisters on the floor, and the carpet has been stained. Someone has poured it all over the floor. On a nearby dressing table, we find 2 clues. First is a passport. Oscar Hangstrom. But wait a minute. That was the name of the guy whose laundry we found in the rubble.
Who is Hangstrom?
Flipping to the next page.
Hangstrom and McClellan are the same man.
And with this, the pieces click together. Nicholson was right. The dry-cleaned clothing we found in the ruins did belong to McClellan. But his real name wasn't McClellan. It was Oscar Hangstrom. He was planning to sell his invention to a competitor, Hughes Aircraft. And then he was planning to leave town, as we learn when we pick up the nearby ticket.
Hangstrom is flying today on TWA.
Hangstrom is dead, Cole. Why leave your ticket behind?
Mapes is cleaning up.
And where was he going to? Grand Bahama, the same location we found on the coordinates inside the Spruce Goose. This connects McClellan, or Oscar Hangstrom, directly to Mapes, which may explain all of the gasoline in this house. Was Mapes planning to burn it down so we couldn't make the connection? But if he was trying to burn the place down... Wait a minute.
The gas, Cole, the gas! We gotta get out of here right now!
Mapes throws a Molotov cocktail inside.
Look, by the stove! Shoot the gas line, Cole, we're out of here!
Racing through the hole in the wall, Biggs opens a nearby window so that we can crawl out.
Fuck. There you are, shitheel. Come on, he's not getting away from us.
But Mapes does a runner. Hopping into Biggs' wagon, we can try to chase him down. But Mapes takes us through the gardens of the nearby residential houses. We have to chase him down alleyways between these homes.
Don't leave me hanging out here, Phelps. Move in! Lay into his wheel well, come on!
Mapes proves to be more of an erratic driver than any of these crooks we've chased so far, trying his level best to get rid of Cole and Biggs. He proves to be a danger to himself, to us, and the people of LA. We've got to stop this guy.
Get in close and steer him off the tar.
Trying, Biggs.
Shit. You security men, Cole. Stay on Mapes. Knock them off the road if you have to, but stay on that fucker.
How did Mapes send his security guys after us?
Enough games, Phelps. Take this guy out. It's no good. We need to get closer.
Oh! All right, turn around, turn around. There he is. We'll get him.
Smash the son of a bitch's rear wheels.
If I can get close enough. He leads us right back to Hughes aircraft. He's hiding behind the military police.
Stop right there. Get out of the car slowly. Fire a warning round.
We're gonna have to go through all the security men first. I hope you're ready for a fight, Cole.
Hey, with the tires.
The security team, inexplicably devoted to their boss, pull out guns and fire at cops, making me wonder why they never paused to consider their career choices.
How long do you think you can hold out?
We gotta get these guys. He wants to play cat and mouse? Fine. Let's go and get his ass.
Cole has enough bullet wounds to make me wonder how he's still alive, but nevertheless, we can race through the security gate into the hangar in pursuit of Mapes. And there are even more security inside, all of whom, again, have no problem firing at detectives. We've cornered Mapes to his office. He's on his roof firing at us, but sharp-eyed Cole can take him out. Now to clean up.
Forward!
Weapons on the ground, now!
Give me some cover!
Long time to run out of ammo.
You're gonna have to explain this to me again. So the guy at the chemical plant, he's planning on selling his magic formula to another company and skipping town with his assistant, but he blows himself up before he can manage it. So why the dead body in the refrigerator?
Mapes, Captain. He was eliminating all competitors for the process. When it went bang, he burnt down the apartment to remove all connection between Hughes and the plant.
Mapes, right. I remember Vernon Mapes. The guy had good, honest cops hanging their heads in shame. Glad he's finally out of commission. I don't know if it'll do you any good, Phelps, but between the spruce goose and half the city exploding, we might just have made the case of the decade.
A thumbs up from the captain means all the world to a man who has had little to be happy about. But now, we've got to connect with Jack. He's still on the run, and we're the only ones who can help him. Find out exactly what happens to Cole Phelps and Jack Kelso in the dramatic conclusion to the full story of L.A. Noire in our next episode. I publish many videos each and every week, so if you don't want to miss it, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification button. If you have and you still feel like you're missing YouTube notifications, consider following me on Twitter at Oxhorn. I update Twitter manually with every new piece of content that I publish. I have a shirt shop with completely unique designs that you can't find anywhere else. My designs come on shirts in a variety of men's, women's, and children's sizes and in a wide array of colors. You can find them on other products as well, like smartphone cases, pillows, posters, mugs, stickers, prints, etc. So if interested, you can find a link to my shop in the description below, or you can click here. If you like what I do, and you want to support me in a more personal way, consider becoming a patron on Patreon or a member here on YouTube. But more than anything, I'm just so glad you're here watching this video with me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon with more brand new videos.
Brother!
Are you drunk, mister? Or are you just cracked? Why you?